So imagine going through 4 rounds of different antibiotics in a year and still not seeing any resolution in your infections. Turns out that drug-resistant infections are a major global healthcare threat, resulting in nearly 1.2 million deaths every single year. I'm Dr. Ishita Shah, and I'm an infectious disease scientist, now leading efforts at Matrubials to develop therapies to reduce the burden of infectious diseases. We are a Foods for Health Institute at UC Davis, and so we are tapping into nature's first food, that is milk, which is sort of nutritious but also very protective for the newborn, and diverting these protective molecules into therapies that can reduce the drug-resistant infectious outcomes. Since we are coming from an infant maternal background, our lead indicator is women's health that can make a generational impact if those infections are not resolved. What we are looking into as our core mission is reducing the burden of this disease called bacterial vaginosis, which is the most prevalent gynecological infection. It impacts nearly 21 million women in the US alone. And even in this day and age, the physicians prescribed 2 different types of antibiotics that were developed back in the 1950s. So innovation is really key in this space. Bacterial vaginosis remains unresolved and results in this umbrella of clinical complications for women in reproductive ages that are not limited to preterm births and miscarriages, but repeat urinary tract and yeast infections, increased rate of HIV transmission, and so on and so forth. We are looking into topical vaginal inserts through the FDA route, which is going to be a medical product. And for advancing this work and milestones for early safety and efficacy, we've been awarded a phase 1 NIH SBIR grant and a Gates Foundation pilot study as well. In addition to that, we have been able to develop an AI-enabled portfolio expansion protocol that allows us to discover more molecules that can be diverted into additional products. And so for that, we are first developing an all-gender, multiple age group skin health solution that can bypass the FDA route and going into a consumer-based cosmetic solution. This can help address the skin and soft tissue infection burdens that is the most common leading reason for hospitalizations in the US. The TAMs for both of these diseases are really high. And to do that, we are going to be in such a position that we can launch the skin product for go-to-market by 2023. Our processes are very complex, but I've rolled my sleeves up, and it comes to my asks for what we can do next. And we really need more manpower, meaning that we want to expand our senior scientific team, but also need early expertise in business development so that we can advance the skin solutions when we do that next year. We're also looking into strategic partnerships with large pharma companies, as well as consumer good companies, so that we can either co-develop these products or have these evaluations for out-licensing some of our core tech. We're now looking into investor relations as well, and very thankful and honored to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
She did a very good job. Again, I think we've met before, maybe at the Big Bang. Very impressive. One of the things you touch on in the beginning is about the milk-based product. And I lost it a little bit later on when you got more into the topical and the pill-based, but can you just clarify again, is it the delivery method utilizing the milk bake or for absorption properties? Or?
No, we are initially starting with only topical applications, so it's going to be delivered on site at the site of the infection. There isn't strategies in place right now to deliver it for systemic infections just yet. We do envision going that route in the future as well. For now, both for the women's health and the skin application, we can do topical therapeutics. So these are going to be formulations of antimicrobial peptides from milk that can be directly applied onto the skin or be a part of a vaginal formulation, so that there isn't this issue about peptides circulating in your bloodstream. That's
great.
what
Thank
we're
you.
looking into right now. Yeah.
Great presentation, and sounds like a wonderful research. Hopefully, will reach a product that will be in the hands of women all around the world soon. As it relates to sort of your category of products, one of the risks you may want to think about is sort of the risk of development and commercialization.
Yes.
And obviously market acceptance, because I would imagine this would be a prescribed product.
That is correct. For the women's health, we are looking at a medical product that's prescribed and reimbursed by insurance companies.
So I really like what you have on this slide around strategic partnerships.
Yes.
One of the ways you could possibly de-risk this is through licensing and collaboration agreements with large pharma, Pfizer and Novo Nordisk. And I mentioned those names only because they are already in this space. They may not be providing the exact product, but they are in the same space as it relates to women's health. And one of the things that collaboration like that is a win-win for both Matrubials and them is because their sales folks are having similar conversations with exactly the same constituents that you would like to sell to.
Correct.
So it's just another conversation when they're meeting the physician or the clinician. And so for you, you get a scaled up sales channel. For them, it's a win because it lowers their SG&A to be able to push through more volume through the same conversation. If you haven't already tried, I would encourage you to actually reach out to the biz dev folks at these large pharma companies. They are usually, it sounds very hard to penetrate, but oftentimes they're really open because large companies realize that innovation doesn't happen in-house. They've really come to that realization, and they're really hungry for new product categories.
Yeah.
So,
well, keeping fingers crossed, we are trying to make those conversations happen and looking at meeting many of the milestones so that we can actually have a really good strategized discussion as part of these conversations. But I appreciate it. I think that's what we are going to be doing next. Awesome. So we should chat more. Yeah.